I'm talking about UFC because I did it. I actually watched the card. Well, I watched the main card. Fucking dumb fuck. They're so dumb. You got it? Do you have the link? Or you need me to send it? You got it? I have no idea. Ah, that's why.
Live it, breathe it, love it. All sports, double coverage.
two of us.
Oh,
There's
wow.
some, to compa-
Give us the intro again, Domma, now.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Double Coverage. We hope you're still living, loving, and breathing sport. It's Dom with the great man Sauce. What's happened, Sauce? What's happened?
We're back, and I had a bit of a cock up on the live stream audio. So you've had take two at it, Domma. So it's not all bad. It's not all bad. But we're live now.
Oh, bang, we are. I'm just saying, it's all good, mate. We're going. We're going. As I said, we've got NBA, EPL, UFC, Hobby Talk, and then for NFL, and then we've got in Sauceys Smokey. We're going to rehash an old Smokey that's got a comparison to a card that's in the market, which we've spoken about, and we're going to go through it a bit more in depth because I don't know. It's just this is the next big thing, man. We reckon it's the next big card, and it's super duper affordable. And get it in your PC. I know Saucy's got one, but let's start off where we love to start off each week with the NBA, with the standings. We're gonna go conference first, then we got some stuff that's been happening, and then obviously finish off with the league leaders. But let's go there. Philly first. 12 and 6, Boston 10 and 6 in second, Milwaukee 10 and 6, Indy 10 and 7, Brooklyn, who are outside of the 8, are now fifth, 11 and 8, Atlanta 9 and 8, Cleveland 8 and 9, Orlando 8 and 10, New York 8 and 11, Toronto 7 and 10, Chicago 7 and 10, Charlotte 7 and 10, my boys the Heat third last 6 and 10, Detroit 4 and 13, and Washington are the worst team in the East with a record of 3 and 10. Western Conference Saucies, LA Lakers on top, 14 and 4. Utah second, 13 and 4. Clippers are 13 and 5 in third. Denver all the way up to fourth now, 10 and 7. Portland are 9 and 7. Memphis, ladies and gents, without JJJ, sixth with 7 and 6. Phoenix 8 and 7. Golden State are 9 and 8. San Antonio 9 and 8. What are we here? 10th Dallas 8 and 9. 11th Houston 7 and 9. 12th Oklahoma 7 and 9, Sacramento 6 and 10, New Orleans, who we thought was going to be a lot better, are 5 and 10, and then the dumpster fire in last, the Minnesota Timberwolves. So Saucy, bits happened there, bit of change, notably Grizzlies without JJJ, they've gone up there. Denver, who were outside, they've climbed, which is good to see.
Portland.
Atlanta started to steady up a bit as well. Trey's had some big games in the last 7 days. In between pods.
Copped a bit of heat for going losing his way a little bit, but he's come out firing in the last few. And this is the Trae Young that the Atlanta Hawks need if they have any success this season or any chance of making the playoffs. He has to keep playing to this high standard.
100%.
So he's the barometer.
Another one to mention about poor performances and then coming out and putting on a clinic. Not this guy, mind you. We'll get to his most recent, but LBJ dropped 34 in the win against Milwaukee in the week. Very nice performance by LeBron. Played very well, but it's his number 2 there in Los Angeles that's been struggling significantly this season in terms of his scoring and his output. And he came out after dropping 37, his season high against the Bulls, and said he put it out there and said, I suck at the moment. I completely suck. So he was even surprised that he put up 37. I'm talking about Anthony Davis. I know you watch a lot of the Lakers, if not all their games. What are you seeing so far? Why is he struggling so much? Is he taking on a different role within the team?
Yeah, I think we're relying on him to really put more energy in on that defensive end, especially because we lost some of our rim protection in, obviously losing JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard, who were really good and allowed us to lead the league in blocks last season. So, he's having to put more energy on that defensive end. That's leaving him a little bit, obviously less energy to spend on that offensive side of the ball. But how scary is it for the rest of the league that we're still 14 and 4, and Anthony Davis is playing probably at about 65% of what he's capable of. And there's just that much more room to grow. And
Well,
the other guys on our team,
Oh.
on the Lakers team, is just, picked it up. And the depth of this team now is what cannot go unnoticed. Literally, Domma, we can go 11 guys deep onto the bench, and every guy has their own place in the team. They bring energy. And on different nights, guys are playing more minutes than other nights, and on other nights, guys are playing more minutes than than other guys on another occasion. And it's all clicking at the moment. So it's just about fine tuning it, spreading those minutes around, keeping the King's minutes down, keeping it down to that 32 minute mark every game. If we could do that, then it allows him, to be ripe and cherry for playoff time.
Well, funnily enough, your home record is a 4-4, so you're 500 with your home record. You are 10-0 on the road. That's a good
because in
start
LA we
to
don't
have.
play in front of fans, and LeBron loves playing in front of fans.
Yeah, no.
So when we go on the road, we've been playing in front of some fans. LeBron's been putting on a show.
Well, you know what has to happen when you play in LA? What happened yesterday or the day before against the Cavs? You need someone in there in the Staples Center every home game to come out and bag LeBron off missing a jump shot. Just bag him. Just say you're shit. And he'll just turn around, shake his head. Yeah, all right. I'll take that. And then come out in the last quarter and drop 21 points on that guy's head and just be like, listen, you don't bag the King, baby. I'll pull 46 up against you. That was unbelievable.
It was a great performance. And, his 3-point shots, it's hot and cold. We've seen this with LeBron in years gone by. And, it hasn't really changed. But when that 3-point shot is falling early, you're in for a night. I think he dropped 3 or 4 in that first quarter. He ended with 7 on the game. But when he drops, a few in the first quarter on you, and he's got that 3 working, it pretty much means that you can't leave him unguarded from that 3-point line. You can't go under screens. You've got to go over the top of him. Because if you go under, he's going to make you pay. And if you decide to go over, well, he's just going to take it to the rim and draw the pressure from the defense, collapse that defense, and kick it out to our shooters who are, Domma, we are shooting the ball amazing from 3-point land. We've got Alex Caruso, who's I think leading the league. I heard the commentator saying, or near top of the league in 3-point percentage.
Caruso.
Then we've got the sniper and Wesley Matthews. Kyle Kuzma's three's looking better this season than what it did last season. Obviously, we've got Morris who can knock down the 3. And I won't be surprised soon enough, come the end of the season, Montrezl Harrell expands that little jump shot, which is, I'm really, really pleased to see him, taking those little 15, 16 footers, expands that out to a little corner 3, and, even him can knock down it, because he knocks down that mid-range pretty good. He's got some moves, and what's funny is, he comes to a Lakers team that's arguably got more talent than that Clippers team, and the Lakers team, we're allowing him to actually, express himself on the offensive side of the ball. He takes the ball one-on-one. He takes the ball, does through the legs, a little step back on the mid-range. Doc Rivers wouldn't have liked him doing that sort of stuff at the Clippers, but here he is at the Lakers on a more, more star-studded team in a sense.
100%.
And he's able to do those things. So, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with us.
You are looking good. Now, there's 2 more teams that I want to discuss before we move on to the league leaders, and that is Boston. I do want to go back there. I know, and the reason why I'm going back there is pre-season, well, NBA season preview. Let's just put it this way. I'm just going to get straight to the point. I'm not going to beat around the bush. Hats off, mate. Jaylen Brown. You haven't had Tatum. He's come back now. He's since come back. Tatum actually played well in his return. I think he had 24. But Jaylen Brown carried that team while another star player was out. Now, that's positive signs for a team that's actually quite weak on the bench. But their bench is now starting to play all right. That's what happens when you've got a culture of winning. guys hit shots, there's confidence, and everyone gets confidence in their shots, and it helps a lot more. So I still don't think they got the depth on the bench. It's just confidence is key in a confidence-driven league when it comes to shooting. Like, if you're confident with your shot, you struggle to miss. Like, that's just basketball, full stop. That's with any sport. Confidence is key. But props to him. He's been absolutely killing it. And they're looking pretty threatening. Don't know if they can beat Brooklyn. The upside for them against the Nets is the fact that they play defense. That is the upside. They have more depth on their bench as well, and they're going to force guys who you can abuse on offense. Like, if it did get to that series in the Eastern Conference Finals, it'd just be switch on to Kyrie every play and just abuse him. That's what it would be, because the guy cannot play any defense. He would just get destroyed.
Jaylen Brown, as I said in a previous podcast, Domma, he's having a career year, shooting the ball 44% from the 3-point line. He's averaging 3.4 assists, which is the most he's ever averaged in his career, averaging 27.3. You go have a look back at the last sort of 5 games where Tatum's been out. I think Tatum played the last game. But 33 points, 42 points, 26, 25, 21, 27. So, really anchoring that team on the offensive side of the ball. I just can't see how they can't make a wave in that East. I still think that bench unit is going to struggle. It's going well now, but I watched him in those 2 losses against Philly, and if they end up having to play Philly in that East side, watch out, because they literally cannot handle Joel Embiid. After getting Tristan Thompson, who's arguably a better defender than Tice, Joel Embiid literally just looks like Shaquille O'Neal compared to those 2 guys.
Thank you. You said it, because I was about to say it. I know I was going to talk about Ben Simmons, and I mentioned last week, I said, I'll talk about Ben. He's copping flack. I know he hasn't got jump shots and stuff, but he's changed his role in his team. I'm not going to get into it too in depth. If you watch the Philly games, you'll be able to notice he's more passive. He passes the ball a lot more. When he has to score, he has to score. All right, but that Philadelphia team under Doc Rivers, the key is Embiid. You can actually see he is the centerpiece now. He's the one. He's the guy, and he's the best player by a mile. I agree with you completely, Sauce. I was going to say it. I don't want to sound like freaking I'm the only one that sees it, but he is the modern-day Shaquille O'Neal. The difference between the two of them...
Can actually shoot free throws.
You hit the nail on the head. You actually hit the nail on it. And the other thing, the major difference is he's not as dominant as what Shaq is. But the thing with Embiid, he can become that dominant, considering there's no other big man in the league like at his caliber as like a Shaq, a big, strong guy. He can just bully guys. Like, we're playing in a league where centers are shooting threes. I'm not saying they're not strong guys, but they're not big guys, rim protectors, like it was back then. All he has to do is put a little bit more size on him. He's a big boy. He's going to be very hard to beat. And what are you going to do? Foul him? It's the difference between him and Shaq.
83% free throw shooter on the year, Domma. 80% for his career. So he's averaging 27.7 this season, which is a career high. And the one that absolutely stands out off the page, Domma, is he's shooting that 3 pool on a average of 3 attempts per game at 40%.
That's it. He's not. That's the thing. It's 3 attempts per game. It's not those dumb threes he was taking seasons prior. He would just get it up there and just jack up the 3. He's getting it up there because he's threatening. Like you said, if you can put respect on the 3, you've always said it, Sauce. It makes people guard it. So now he's got that thing because he's explosive for a big guy.
Yeah, he is.
He up fakes, puts the ball on the deck, 1 dribble, and he goes straight to the ring. The moment the person comes to take the charge, they're out of position. It's a blocking foul every time.
If he up fakes from the top, it's 1 dribble, ball gather, well, technically you can take 3 steps because the gather's 1 step, and it's to the rim. So from the 3-point line, he only needs to dribble the ball literally once, and he can get to the rim.
He's becoming very quickly an unstoppable force. If Doc Rivers, I know he will, he's a smart guy, can harness that ability in Joel Embiid, Philly could be back in the position they were 2 seasons ago, where they were 1 shot away from making the finals. And I tell you what, if I'm the Lakers, I'd gladly play everyone. I'd gladly play everyone in the East. Like, Brooklyn's not even a worry for the Lakers because they play no defense. They're going to have to try and outshoot people. But in the playoffs, when they're not calling everything and there's defense and you're not going to get all the shots, you're going to struggle. But playing against, like, Embiid playing against Davis, they don't want that. They don't want Davis to get into foul trouble against a big guy where he has to defend really hard. Like, let's be honest. You're going to take Davis out, and who are you going to put on Embiid? You can't play small ball.
Yeah.
You just bully her.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with him. I like Philly a lot. They're playing some great ball at the moment. The last one, though, I want to run this past you because there was some interesting comments made. All right, so Donovan Mitchell dominated. Has been dominating. Utah's on a 9-game win streak, the biggest in the NBA at the moment. Now, Shaquille O'Neal, I know you would have seen the comments.
Yep.
That he made to him live after a game, post-game. He said that he doesn't think he can take his game to the next level. Straight to his face, he's honest. Shaq tells it as it is. That part I respect. He copped a bit of flack for saying it. What are your thoughts on Donovan Mitchell as a player? And do you think that those comments were warranted by Shaq?
Yeah, somewhat, Domma. He's shown glimpses to take it to the next level. But you got to remember he's a mature guy. So he came into the league at 21. You got some of these higher draft picks coming into the league at 19. So then they have 2 years. He spent a bit more time in college. He's now 24 years old, and he hasn't taken his game to a new level in terms of statistics on what he's done last year. I mean, he's shooting the ball at 39% from 3, which is a little bit up on last year, but that could average down by the end of the year or average up. Points, he's actually averaging less currently than he was last year. His turnovers are up. His steals are actually down. And the other one, the assist, it's up by 0.6. So in terms of actually taking your game to the next level, it's about getting over that point and being a guy who every night is putting up 25 points on average. And I think that's what Shaq meant by taking the ball, taking a game to the next level, and that also includes being able to win in the able to win series. They weren't able to do that last season against Denver. They got done in 7. I believe they led in that series as well, quite a bit of it, and Denver outplayed them. But I don't think that the comments are unwarranted, because there's been plenty of guys, if you go back in the history of the NBA, that have put up very similar numbers to Donovan Mitchell. So
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell is what would I say? He's a very good NBA player, right? There's a difference between very good and a great or elite NBA player. Taking your game to the next level is being able to literally, anchor your team through the season, which he's done already. But it's about closing the deal and getting the job done in the playoffs.
I got an interesting question for you. No, I know that because you dominated in the bubble. This might sound ridiculous, All right. This is just that I'm just asking the question. I'm not saying anyone's better than anyone, but if you were taking a player tomorrow, would you take Donovan Mitchell or would you take Ja Morant?
That's a tough. You know, I'm telling you, Dominic,
Hey,
not
the
nine
fact
out,
that I've made you
not
think about that is enough for me.
9 out of 10 people would just say Ja Morant. Especially people in the hobby would say Ja Morant. Ja Morant's cards are like sell way more than Mitchell.
I'm just
Um,
saying that they're similar players. They're both point guards. They're both scoring point guards. They're super athletic guys. They both shoot threes. They're both extremely skillful guys. I know one guy's into his second year, one's into his fourth year now.
yep, correct.
But based on what I've seen, I don't know. I still think there's still time to tell. But what I'm trying to say is, in terms of like what you can see, if you do the eye test, you'd be like, well, I'll take Morant because I can see him becoming anything with his potential. Where Mitchell, you go on 4 years, I've seen something, but now I'm not seeing anything. But then I see something, and then I'm not seeing anything again.
Yeah, and that's why I said that's why I agree with Shaq that the comments aren't warranted. You know, so anyone that was giving him flack for saying those comments, I think that's a bit harsh on your end if you're sort of upset with Shaq because
He's just asking the question. He's being
he's putting the statement out there that you don't have the. And I love Mitchell's answer. At the end of the day, he said, "That's fine. That's your opinion. I'm going to
that's
keep putting in
fine.
the
No, I
work, and
thought he handled that
I,
fantastically. He did
I'm
a great
gonna let
job.
my game do the talking.
Did it?
And if it's for anything, if Utah finishing the top 3 seeds in that Western Conference, and Mitchell's the leader in that team, in all categories, which at this current point he is. Um, look, that's enough to say that he's taking his game to the next level. Still no, because like I still think there's plenty of other guys out there that are in the same boat as Mitchell. Um,
No, there is.
so
I just think I'm with you. I completely agree. The comments were warranted, and the main thing on Mitchell is like if they get to the playoffs in a 2 seed or as a 1 seed, they're only a half a game behind you.
yep,
But for example, 1 or 2, they have to do well enough to at least make the conference finals.
yep,
They got to get to a conference finals and at least push the team that they play, whether it's the Lakers or whoever it is, to at least 6 games. And he's got to play well.
yeah.
If he crumbles, then well, I'll turn around and say, well, I'll take Ja
But at
Morant
the end
every
of the
day of the
day,
week.
Domma, that matchup in the second round of the playoff, Jamal Murray versus Donovan Mitchell, that was the matchup. And
That was elite. It was
it was a
great,
great
great to
matchup.
watch.
But at the end of the day,
But yeah,
Jamal Murray won the matchup because they
yeah.
won the series.
He had one bad game in that series. He did it more consistently, and that's what won him. Won him the series in the end. But I don't know. We'll see what happens with him. I still think Utah are playing great basketball, and I look forward to seeing teams in the West there that will contend with the Lakers. As I said last week, the East is not as bad as everyone is making it out to be, considering the top 6 teams in there are better than the top 6 teams in the West. So anyway, we'll see what happens.
Except for the
And
Lakers.
except for the Lakers, they're better than all of them. All right, let's go to some league leaders quickly. If it loads here. All right, Bill's still there, 34.4 in the points. KD second, 30.4. Lillard up to 28.7. Curry, 28.4. Our boy, Joel Embiid, 27.7. The boards, Clint Capella, 14.8, who put up a monster performance the other day with having over 20 boards in a game. Andre Drummond, 14.6. Rudy Gobert, 13.8. Sauceys man, Sabonis with 12.4. Aiden up to 12.2, which we like to see. Then the assist leaders, Harden, 10.8. Luka the Don, 9.9. Jokic, 9.3. CP3, 9. Trae Young, 8.5. And then the blocks, Miles Turner, 4.1, is huge. Gobert, 2.8. Capella, 2.3. Boucher, 2.2. And AD almost up to 2 blocks per game. So very nice stuff there. Oh, we'll look forward to see what happening in another week of basketball, mate. So we'll stay tuned there. But coming up next, EPL, and I got a surprise for Saucy in the next segment. So stay tuned. All right, we're back. EPL, day 19. Let's finish off some of these games here. We had Liverpool losing to Burnley in a bit of a shock game. Not the greatest.
Hey, Arsenal's lost to Burnley as well, so
No, but Liverpool's lost twice at home in the last, whatever it is, couple of seasons, whatever the stat is. The two teams they've lost to are Burnley and Newcastle. So it's not the greatest way to lose. If it was Manchester United and Tottenham, or Man United and Arsenal, or Man City or Chelsea, and then you'd be like, oh, that's okay. But Burnley and Newcastle, come on, mate. But they do have injuries. Then we had the day 20 games started. This morning, Palace defeated by West Ham 3-2. Leeds defeated Newcastle 2-1. Man City, as Source likes to say, the Man City of old used to end games in the first half.
looking
Starting
good.
to end games in the first half. So get worried. They're the team I said I'm worried about as a Man United supporter. I don't care about Liverpool or anyone else. Man City are looking good. I don't care De Bruyne is injured. You seen their depth? If Fernandez gets injured, where's United's depth? You can't replace him. Like De Bruyne, they've got like Foden coming off the bench and all these other guys. They're looking very good. And then Arsenal, Saucy's Gunners, in the top half of the table now. Beat Southampton 3-1.
We are 5 points behind West Ham, and within a chance of actually qualifying for Europe, Domma. I can't believe I'm saying it. After being in a relegation battle at the start of the season,
Is Xhaka still playing?
Jacques is still playing, but the most amazing thing, Domma, that happened today was David Luiz started and we won. David Luiz has started in 9 games. We've lost 6 and drawn 3. We hadn't had a win. David Luiz starting.
What about Odegaard? Quickly. Good loan signing?
Yeah, well, they're trying to find that attacking midfielder. Obviously, Emmanuel Smith Rowe is playing that role at the moment, and rightfully so. He puts in a lot of effort, and it's the work that he does off the ball as well that shouldn't go unnoticed. How much he chases and harries, but he did go off with a niggle, so who knows if he may have picked up an injury, but. We need to find something. Danny Ceballos, we thought he was going to be the player to take us forward in that attacking role. He's had chances, Dom. He had more than enough chances, and he struggled. This is his second season at Arsenal, and he hasn't really shown that he's got the ability to play those cutting-edge passes that's going to break up a defense, especially against the top teams. So, we need to find that attacking midfielder because, as we've seen, like our attackers improved, and a lot of it's come down to playing the youth. Also allowing guys to gel together a bit more. And, my favourite Arsenal player, and it's probably going to be the next jersey I get with name and number on the back, and that's Saka. The guy is an absolute jet. I love him so much. He just gives 100 every game, and,
He's a great player.
Not for anything, he's better than Pepe, and Pepe cost 70 million. He came through from our academy. And they're both left footers. The difference is Saka's actually got a right foot. He plays on the right hand side. He cuts in, but he also can cross with his right. Unlike Pepe, he can barely stand on his right foot.
Well, that's very true. I completely agree with that. The remaining games for day 20 are Burnley versus Villa, Chelsea versus Wolves, Brighton versus Fulham, Everton versus Leicester, United versus Sheffield, Tottenham, Liverpool. And then before our next podcast next week, we also have day 21 games. So we've got jam-packed
midweek games.
Midweek. We've got Everton, Newcastle, Crystal Palace, Wolves, Man City, Sheffield, West Brom, Fulham, Arsenal, United.
Bang!
Southampton, Villa, Chelsea, Burnley, Leicester, Leeds, West Ham, Liverpool, Brighton, Tottenham. So there are a few games there. Before we get onto the table, Frank Lampard sacked.
Tom, we called
Big
it.
news.
Did we not call it?
I said, oh, fuck, I called them winning the league. I look like the biggest clown.
Yeah, but look, I understand that. But look, we did say they were looking good, and I agree with you. I said, Chelsea's looking good. And it went down south. But then when it started to go down south, we said, Roman's got a short leash. We know Roman's got a short leash.
Fair call.
And, we stated, I wouldn't be surprised if Lampard gets the axe here. After, what they'd only won, one out of their last 6 or 7 or something like that.
Well, in the last 5, they've won 1 game out of the last 5.
There you go.
Which has been pretty poor.
And Roman, as I said, Roman Abramovich has always had a short leash. And, he's brought in Thomas Tuchel, who, in my opinion, is a better manager than Lampard because he's managed PSG, he's managed Dortmund, he's managed some other top clubs.
No. Now, I'm just going to put this out there, all right? Chelsea fans out there, all right? Calm your farm. You're getting Tuchel. You're not getting Mbappe. Just calm down. He's not coming to Chelsea. He's not coming to the Premier League. He's not. And you two Liverpool supporters, he's not coming to Liverpool, all right? He'll be wearing a Madrid jersey before he wears a Reds jersey, mate. He's not going to come to a club and want to go draw, lose, like Liverpool are doing. But just one thing on Chelsea about that depth, and I know I mentioned it earlier, and we both agreed that it was there. It's just obviously they're not playing well at the moment. You can argue that next to Man City and Liverpool have a lot of injuries. That's why I'm putting Liverpool as one of the teams. If they had their full squad, their depth is unbelievable. But next to Man City and Liverpool, they have the best depth in the league by a mile. They've got guns coming off the bench, left, right, and centre. It's just, they're playing just shocking football at the moment. I feel sorry for you as a Chelsea supporter, to be honest. I don't mind you as a football club. I always have, even as a kid. But I don't know. Hopefully, they get reinvigorated. They can finish the second half of this season, get back in that top 5, and cement a spot in European football, either in Europa League or Champions League. All right, let's get to the table. City first, United second, Leicester third, West Ham are up in 4th, Liverpool 5th, Tottenham 6th, Everton 7th, Arsenal up into 8th. Like Sauce said, only 4 points out of 5th position and 5 points out of the top 4. Villa 9th, Chelsea are in 10th, Southampton 11th, Leeds 12th, Crystal Palace 13th, Wolves 14th, Burnley 15th, Newcastle 16th, Brighton 17th. And then to round out relegation, we have Fulham, West Brom, and Sheffield, who are gone, as we have said. Well, that's soccer, but I wanted to take just a quick little stat here. I got a GOAT stat for you, Sauce. Now, this is not an individual player. This is a team stat. All right? This is a team stat.
So it's not Ronaldo?
No.
I thought it was another Ronaldo stat.
No. It's better. It's better than a Ronaldo stat. It's better than a Maradona stat. It's better than a Messi stat. Better than any player you can think of. Zidane, better. Name a player. R9, better. Doesn't matter. Now, this stat is unbelievable, all right? When you play 10 games in a row and you don't lose, and I mentioned this early on in a very early pod, so early listeners and viewers, if you're out there, you might know where I'm going with this. But when you make it to Division 1 in pro clubs, in FIFA, and you go undefeated in 10 games, and you win the championship, that's worth a mention on this podcast. My boys did it. I did it with my mates. We won pro clubs. I can't believe it. It's on to cup games now. We've accomplished everything. As a matter of fact, I dreamt of playing in a Div 1 final game to win a championship. I did get red carded in the 39th minute. But it doesn't matter. All right? It doesn't matter. We did it. Tip of the hat to your boys out there. You know who you are. Good win. And I thought Saucy would like that. But,
well done. Well done. Well done.
We did it. All right. Coming up next, UFC, baby, 60 G's, baby, got knocked out. Coming up next. We're back. Now, I said last week I was going to have a proper 12 beforehand, and I did on the pod. And I said I was going to have one after to celebrate. But I was having one bloody in commiserations. What happened, Sauce, on this card? Before you get to the main event, give us a rundown.
All right,
Because it was a pretty
we'll
good
give you a
card,
rundown, and it was a great card. So we had we'll run you through the main card, women's strawweight division. Marina Rodriguez with the KO over Amanda Ribas, and the middleweight division you have Makhmed Moradov. KO in the third round against Andrew Sanchez. And the women flyweight division, you had Joanne Calderwood with the decision over the 3 rounds against Jessica I. And the lightweight division, you had Michael Chandler knocked out Dan Hooker. And then obviously the main event, we know what happened. But I'll just talk about a couple of the undercard fights. Obviously, the middleweight, you had Makhmed Moradov against Andrew Sanchez. And, Muradov was just an absolute unit in this fight. And the scary thing is, I think Muradov has won 3 fights on the bounce in a row. And I believe in every 2 of those 3 fights, he's been called up on short notice, Domma. He's had only a few weeks or 3 or 4 weeks notice. He hasn't had a proper training camp, and he's been able to solidify that win. It was a funny, after the fight, he was speaking to Dana White, and he asked Dana White to make sure he gives him a follow on Instagram because he hasn't followed him yet. So he wants to know why the boss hasn't followed him. But after that fight where he knocked out Andrew Sanchez, it'd be impossible for Dana to ignore him, considering he's won 3 in a row. So that middleweight division is something to watch, and Muradov looks like definitely an up-and-coming contender in that division. So exciting stuff. And then the co-main event, you had Michael Chandler against Dan Hooker. Obviously in this lightweight division, same division as the main card, and also the vacant title because Khabib stepped away, but we don't know what's going to happen with Khabib. Obviously, he's had chats with Dana over the last fortnight or so, so he could be coming back potentially to defend his title. We don't know, but Michael Chandler, let's just say, if you didn't know who he is, you now know who he is. Because going into this fight as the absolute underdog by everyone's odds, the bookies as well gave him absolutely no chance, and he just went out there and shut everyone up and knocked out Dan Hooker in the first round with an absolutely crazy knockout. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It was a great knockout, and he called out all the big names after the fight, as you should, after winning a fight in that fashion. Potentially, you never know. Even I don't know if he won fight of the card, fight of the night. But it was a great knockout. And then in the lightweight division, we had Conor getting knocked the fuck out by Dustin Poirier, and I said. We both said that we thought Conor was going to win, but you look back at it and you go, it's probably a lesson learned as a person sort of following UFC, and even, a lesson learned from Conor himself. I don't think you could step away from the ring for 3 years and then come back and expect to have that same sort of skill or desire to win. He got severely outclassed. Early on in that first round, he did land some heavy blows on Dustin, but people said, oh, it's different getting hit by Conor. Well, Conor hit him a few times. Dustin looked a little bit knocked, but we've seen Dustin take a lot of punches and go 5 rounds with some big guys. But what Dustin did do in that first round, which was chop up Conor McGregor's. Conor McGregor's got a very wide stance. really wide stance when he fights. He sort of puts that arm out, try to get that feel, that right arm to try to get that feel for that left bomb that he throws. And he allowed that right front foot to get absolutely chopped up. You seen at the end of round one the redness that was around the back of his calf, and that's what got him in the end. You know, those shots that he was lower leg kicks he was allowed to catch in that first round. What that did for Dustin early on in the fight, he was throwing punches, throwing combos, and McGregor was too fast for him. He was moving out of the way. The movement was good. But by throwing those leg kicks, it took away McGregor's agility. He was then not able to dodge back and move laterally as he would have liked in that second round. And that allowed Dustin to close the gap on him. And we saw what happened. He closed that gap. He hit him with that combo. And it was lights out. And, you know, it just shows that consistency and hard work where it can take you. You know, Dustin Poirier he's had his ups, he's had his downs, but you know he's definitely at the height of his career, and he's looking as though he is the number one contender in that for the belt. So whether that be he fights Khabib, or whether that be he fights someone for the vacant belt, you know, I'm backing the man all the way. He's proven many people wrong. You know, he was the underdog on the fight. You know, Conor McGregor was obviously $1.50 favorite, and he came out on top. So, and KO'd him. So, first time Conor McGregor's been KO'd in his career. Like obviously he's been submitted. He's never been KO'd. So,
massive. It's
just
massive.
Great fight all round by Dustin Poirier. You can't defute the fact that he was the better fighter, and McGregor looked far from his best. Yeah, that's right. He doesn't look like he had that killer instinct that, you know, we've seen McGregor have. You know,
it'll be interesting to see where he goes from here.
Well,
he said he does want to fight again.
He does say, you know, the name of the game is to be active. You know, he took the loss very well. Not arrogant at all. Commended Dustin. One thing that I think he really liked Dustin saying was that we're 1-1. And you know, sort of gave Dustin a bit of a finger and a wink. You know, so that potentially sets up another fight for him and Dustin to see who, you know, obviously who's the out and out best. You know, best of three decides it all. Seems to be the way it goes in sort of all combat sports if it gets to that point. So yeah, I'll be interested to see once again, who he takes up next. But I think it's at the point now where it's like, well, you know, you got the fight that you wanted. You came back sort of under your terms. I think this is where it's like Dana White gives him the fight that he wants. And, you know, you got to prove yourself, Connor, because, you know, you came in here after a 3-year layoff thinking you're still the king, and you got put back in your rightful place. So at this point, you're just a contender.
100%. Thoughts on no one can beat Khabib at the moment. I don't care. Poirier knocked out Conor, but no one in there can beat him at the moment.
Yeah.
He did make comments where there's been reports that he actually said to Dana, I saw nothing on this card to make me want to step back in. I don't know if it's a bit of arrogance from him. It could get to the point where his inactivity gets to a state where he either vacates or he has to fight, or he loses the title, like by the UFC. Like Dana just takes it from him. I'm pretty sure there's a period of time that you can hold it without defending it.
Yep.
But the problem is if he holds it to that last, like right to the end, with inactivity, does the same thing happen to him?
No, I don't think so. Because it's obviously,
I don't think so. I think he trains all the time. He's very conditioned. He's the GOAT in that weight class.
I still can't see if any of these fighters go up against Khabib. They can't beat him because, you know, he just shows you that if he gets you to the ground, you can't get up. You just can't get up. So
You got to knock. Literally, you got to stand. You got to stand up and knock him out. That's the only way you're beating him.
if you can stand up, he's that good at takedowns. He's probably one of the best
Yeah, I know.
takedown specialists in the whole MMA, if not the greatest takedown specialist that MMA's ever seen. Because in every fight, he's been able to take people down and literally ground and
100%.
pound them for rounds on rounds.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's very interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what Dana does from this point in terms of like setting cards for that division. Considering, I don't know what Connor's going to do. I just got this feeling that we'll get Connor versus Gaethje. I don't know. I just got this feeling it's going to be that. It's not going to be him versus
Nate Diaz is
Poirier.
coming back. He's talking a lot of smack, but he
Yeah,
he only fights for the money. But
I was about to say that. I was about to say his next two fights will either be him against Gaethje or him fighting Diaz in that trilogy fight, the decider, and then whatever happens from there might lead to he's got a couple fights under his belt to him saying I want to fight Poirier. He needs to beat him, and from that, then he fights Khabib. In all honesty, if he wins it, he wins it. But I just think the next time he fights Khabib, if he loses to him, that's it. He's done. He'll retire. He's finished. I don't see him fighting ever again after that. Because he wraps up the loose ends with Poirier in the trilogy fight, Diaz in the trilogy fight, and people want to see him fight Gaethje. That fight might not even happen, but it might wrap up the two trilogy fights. Then he might get that fight with Khabib, and I am wholeheartedly just going to say that I love the guy as a fighter. He's so entertaining, and we said this last week. He's a marketing pull for the UFC, and as you said, to help put them on the map. That man helped put them on the map. But if he loses Khabib again, it's it. He's got nothing else to fight for. He's accomplished everything. He'll just pick another fight with bloody. He'll fight Pacquiao next, or he'll go fight
Logan Paul or something for 50 million.
Or go. He might fight Jake.
He might even fight Jake Paul.
Might actually get that bullshit. But he might even fight Floyd again for $1 billion and pocket it and be like, yeah, I'll just ride off into the sunset with another bloody lazy 350 million USD in my pocket. What's to say he doesn't do something like that? He's a draw card. He sells pay-per-views, mate. It was the highest ever social media, the highest social media views, like impressions and reach that the UFC have ever had leading into this fight. And he's fighting Poirier. Just imagine if he was coming back and fighting Khabib.
Or Nate Diaz.
They would have blew up everything. So we'll see where his career leads him. I do think he'll fight. I think he just wraps up those two loose ends and then literally it forces Khabib to have to defend the title. And Dana says, well, this is who you're fighting. And they get it done. And not for anything, they're two guys that absolutely hate each other. Like, they don't respect each other at all. And that's not show. It's definitely not show. So we'll see what happens from there. But anyway, we've got a card coming up. We do have a card.
We've got UFC Fight Night. Overeem versus Volkov. Alexander Volkov. I believe. I believe that's what we've got.
Volkov.
Yeah. Here we go. I don't know. Here we go. This is the card we've got. So they haven't really named much on the card yet. Yeah, here we go. Oh no, it's not. It's saying that we don't have a card. Sorry, Domma. So the card's coming up on the 7th. So we'll preview that one next. There's not
next week.
That card's coming up on the 7th of Feb. So obviously not this weekend. The following weekend, UFC Fight Night Overeem versus Volkov, which is the main.
Beautiful.
The main event has been named. The undercards and the other under main card has yet to be set.
Sweet. All right. Easy. Thanks, Saucy. All right. Coming up next, stay tuned. NFL, we have our two teams fighting for the Super Bowl. Stay tuned. we're back. NFL Conference Championships. Kansas 38 defeated Buffalo 24 in the AFC, and then in the NFC, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with the upset defeat the Green Bay Packers 31-26 in Lambeau to set up a Kansas versus Tampa Bay Super Bowl matchup on the 8th of Feb. We will not be getting into any of that game. No predictions this week. We will preview that on our podcast next week, but we will discuss the games that unfolded on Monday, Sunday over in the States. So, Saucy, we'll start with this Tampa versus Packers game because I caught the second half of this. Give us your thoughts leading up to that one play that everyone's talking about. That decision made by Matt LaFleur not to go for it on 4th down. But leading up to it, what did you see?
Well, leading up to it, and what I stated was, that Green Bay offensive line at times this season has looked fragile, and during that game, well, I could see why. In that play where everyone says Rodgers should have just ran in for the touchdown when he had the whole field in front of him.
That one
he decides to throw it cross arm to a guy that's got 2 covering him. I'm not surprised that he did that. He did get sacked 5 times in the game. The pressure was coming thick and fast from that rushing defense of the Buccaneers. But it was the ability, as I said, Domma, was the ability to shut down that Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers duo. 15 targets, only 67 yards. He had 15 targets. That is more than double any other player on that receiving core for the Green Bay Packers. But yet he only had 67 yards. You've got Alan Lazard, who only had 6 targets, had 62 yards. Right?
Yep.
Out of those 15 targets, he had 9 receptions. Yes, I get it. But they kept that average down to only 7.4. That's brilliant. Considering him and Davante Adams link up for so many big chunk plays. They were able to nullify that. And that went a long way in, keeping them in the game. Obviously, Brady, he still threw 3 picks. So that defense for the Packers was doing its job. But, it came down to that last quarter. There was opportunities, and calls that went against both teams and then went for both teams. There was some holding calls that could have went against the Buccaneers on defense, and then obviously vice versa. That didn't go against the Packers. But it just came down to, I think, Brady being able to win those close games in those situations. And just having the right play calling down the stretch to get the job done. And even at the end there, when they could have still potentially had an opportunity to send the Buccaneers 3 and out and get Rodgers the ball back, they were able to extend the game, make the Packers drain their timeouts, and see out the clock. And that's also a pivotal part towards the end of the game in being able to close out and not giving Rodgers an opportunity to go down and win the game. So from the Buccaneers side, there could have been things done better, but I just think their ability to be able to move the chains was underestimated.
They did enough.
They were
really.
9 of 14 on 3rd down, 4th down 1 of 1. So, only went for it once on 4th down and they got the job done. it was just more efficient. You know, they only had the ball in their hands 25 minutes on the clock. Green Bay had the ball in their hands 34 minutes. So extra 9 minutes, Green Bay had the ball in their hands, but yet they weren't able to, you know, they only had an extra 30 yards on that Packers offense. So Rodgers didn't make most of his opportunities, and you know it came back to bite them in the end. Their defense only gave up 2 penalties, which is crucial in these games. Look, people are going to complain about the refereeing and you know and the pulling of jerseys and the holding calls that went unmissed, but I watched the game start to finish. There was holding calls missed on both sides. So to say, you know, complain about some
Correct.
calls here and some calls there, while there was calls on both sides that were just blatantly missed. It happens every game. It's no different to any game of football. Just because it's obviously the conference championship game, it's going to be more amplified. And everyone's watching, so of course it's going to be complained
Correct.
about. But yeah, I just think that Buccaneers, they were just more clinical on the day. And you had the GOAT behind center that just knows how to win and get the job done. And at the end of the day, I think that was the difference. That and the Buccaneers defense being able to get that pressure on Rodgers. And I spoke about that in our pod last week. Spoke about the things that I spoke about and said if they do this, able to get that pressure on Rodgers and able to nullify that Devontae Adams and Rodgers duo, which I think, you know, from what I seen, they did pretty well. I mean, he did still score a touchdown, but there was many times in the red zone where they did target him and they weren't able to get the job done. And they had to settle for a few field goals. So, yeah.
Completely agree. I've got nothing else really more to add, but besides that, like, it was a toss-up that 4th down to take it with 4 minutes left. My opinion, I think you should have taken it, LaFleur. You got to take, you got to just take the gamble there in terms of, like, you can't give, Aaron 4 minutes, like, give the Packers defense 4 minutes to get 2 stops on Brady and the way that the Buccaneers were playing. I think you just have to take that gamble. Who cares if you turn it over? Like, let's be honest. The odds of you getting 2 3-and-outs in a row, slim to none. Like getting a 3-and-out and then driving down the field for a TD, then getting another 3-and-out and driving down the field again and getting another TD or a field goal to win it. Like, it's a very tough call. I know he copped a lot of flack because a lot of people wanted to see Rodgers. I think a lot of it is because they want to see Rodgers make it there because he's been touted as the best quarterback ever in terms of his talent. And the fact that Brady's there again, I think people didn't want to see Brady there, let's be honest, except for probably me and you, Sauce.
I love it. I genuinely love it. I genuinely love it. It's just like, it's no different to LeBron going to the Lakers and then still making it to the finals. Right? It's exactly the same. You know, he's gone to another team. Yeah. He said, you know what? I'm going to leave. Everyone thinks it's Belichick. But you know what? You know, like LeBron got Ty Lue a championship. Here's Brady potentially getting the coach, Arians, who, you know, people don't rate him at all as a coach, potentially getting him a championship.
And on the flip side, Kansas defeated Buffalo by 14, by 2 TDs. And we're talking about another guy, which we're going to put him in the same category now in terms of his mentality of just doesn't know how to lose games. He just knows how to win. It's very concerning for the whole league, to be honest. If he can win it in 2 weeks' time, the Super Bowl, it is very concerning because this guy, Patrick Mahomes, is a beast. He is a beast. I've never seen a score so quickly go from 9-0 to the Buffalo Bills, off an interception as well, off Kansas City. There was a stuff up there by McCall Hardman. But I've never seen a score go so quickly from 9-0 to down 21-9 in the second quarter in a flash.
Literally, Domma.
It was literally
that second quarter by Kansas City. They absolutely lit up that Buffalo defense. Buffalo had no answers. They had no answers. And not even just for that second quarter. For the rest of the game. From after the first quarter, Buffalo had no answers. That defense had no answers for Kansas City offense. Literally.
Nothing.
And the amount of variations and plays and motion that this Kansas City offense runs, it's great to watch. The motion off the ball, the little shovel passes. You got Mahomes move outside the pocket, Mahomes staying in the pocket. Then you've got the sweeping motion, the reverse sweeping motion, where then they fake the handoff to the sweeping guy and then roll it out to the other sweeping guy, and they get a massive chunk play on the running with Tyreek Hill. Absolute speedster.
He dominated. He averaged 19.1 yards a carry. He had 9 receptions for 172 yards. He dominated.
Domma.
It's unbelievable.
Absolutely dominated.
This team is going to be very tough to beat. We're not going to get into a preview. We'll do the preview next week. But it is a pleasure, honestly, we've been into the NFL a fair bit. Not really hard until like the last 3 seasons, like full on into it. But seeing the emergence of Patrick Mahomes is just, it's a scary sight. It really is to see someone this good. And this is what we've always said about greatness. I know off air when Sauce and I talk about this, we can put it on the record now on air, but we always said, like, in high school and stuff, Sauce wouldn't like one player. I definitely wasn't a massive fan of Kobe because I'm a guy in the East. I'm a LeBron guy. I go for Miami, and I was sick of seeing Kobe win. But the thing you slowly understand when you get older. So this is a lesson for kids out there that are growing up, but even for adults that can't let go. It is so good to watch greatness. So whether it's Brady winning another Super Bowl in 2 weeks' time, or Mahomes winning his second and cementing himself already in the Hall of Fame after 3 seasons, I really couldn't give a crap. Like that, I will give a prediction. We'll do that next week. But witnessing greatness, and this is what Sauce said a while ago, and he keeps reiterating this point across when we talk about NBA and LeBron. Appreciate him now, because when he's gone, you're going to miss it. As much as you like, oh, thank God he's not there. Oh, we don't need to see him win again. But you're not seeing greatness. Like, I want to tune in every night and watch greatness play. Like,
it's true.
Arguably, this guy's arguably, well, he is the second best, arguably the best player ever to play basketball. And then on the flip side, now we're watching the NFL. This is the best quarterback in the history, arguably the best ever in the history of the NFL. And what, you hate to see him keep winning? These are stories, mate, that we want to sit down and tell our kids, our grandkids, and be like, we watched the best QB ever. We watched the best or second best player ever. We saw Kobe play, and you could actually appreciate what they are, because you're not going to see another. Well, you might. The second coming of Brady could be my homeboy with Andy Reid.
Yeah.
He could be the guy to win 5 or 6. Could do a Joe Montana. Could win 5 from 5. Could go 4 from 4. He might never lose this guy when he gets to a Super Bowl. That's how good he is. But we are excited. We will preview it next week. But just appreciate these guys for what they are. You got the up-and-coming trailblazer, the young kid, the rookie, versus the GOAT. This is the GOAT. This is the best ever.
Yeah. And look, commiserations to the Bills Mafia. They had a great season. But this is where they're sort of at with their franchise. Obviously, Josh Allen not being able to get the job done. He was a bit lackluster. He missed some throws. One of the big factors was, usually the Bills are able to run that ball. They weren't able to run it that well. Obviously, Josh Allen had a couple of nice carries, but other than Josh Allen, if you take away Josh Allen's rushing yards from their total of 29, and Josh Allen had 88 of those. That leaves the actual running backs who are designated there to run the ball, ran the ball for less than 50 yards, Domma.
Yeah,
which
you can't
is
win.
not going to get you anywhere in any game of football.
Well, that's not going to even win you a Super Bowl, even if you get there. It's just not going to happen.
So,
Simple as that.
and Josh Allen sacked 4 times. Mahomes was,
He got
putting
beat up,
cotton
mate.
wool. They were only able to get him down once, and that was for a loss of 0 yards. So even when he did get sacked, my homeboy still managed to only get sacked at the line of scrimmage. Whereas Josh Allen had 4 sacks for a loss of 53 yards. So,
There you go.
it was just the Chiefs. After that first quarter, the Chiefs just literally like, you know what? We're sitting in 3rd gear here. We need to pump this up to 5th gear. And they put it to 5th gear, and then it was game over from there.
Bang. Completely agree. As we said, preview it next week. So stay tuned for that. Very exciting Super Bowl week. But coming up next, we're going into the hobby talk. We've got a bit to discuss, so stay tuned. All right, we're back. It's hobby talk. We've got some interesting things to discuss this week. We've got a few things that we want to discuss next week. I know we're giving some teasers for next week already at the top of the segment. But our friends at Talking Cardboard are going to be discussing their experience with NBA Top Shot. So we'll let them discuss their experience with NBA Top Shot. So tune into their podcast coming up because they've actually bought and sold clips through that
The website.
industry of the hobby, their website, but that genre of the hobby. So clips, it's not cards really, but it's a different hobby really. Video clip hobby. That's what it is. But stay tuned for that. We've got a bit to discuss on that, and there's something linked to that. We're not going to mention what it is, but in the card industry, which is very known by people in the hobby, but we'll get more into it next week and where we think the future of that is heading. But to start off this segment, Panini acquired UFC today. Now, this is huge.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw Cherry. They did a nice little
Prism mock-up.
mock-up with...
Get ready,
Conor.
everybody. First Prism cards UFC. It's got to be the next big thing.
Yeah, exactly. You pull a McGregor Prism, I'll literally be like, hey, Dana, 60 G's, baby. Because that card... Because you know why? Because if you didn't catch it, Sauce caught up with at Anthony Collects and did a live on RCs in the soccer hobby. But technically, all these UFC guys, they're going to be RC cards. That's the way they're going to be looked at in the market. It's their first Panini. This is the true official McGregor RC card. Blah, blah. That's what's going to happen. But it is awesome, though, that they've got the rights to this. The cards, they can do anything now.
We're going to have another
with
RC
it.
scandal in the UFC, mate.
Oh,
Like it is in the bloody soccer, where they're getting Ben Yetta, who's 30 years old, giving him an RC.
I can't wait till we get a McGregor proper 12 whiskey label card where instead of a patch, that's what the patch is. It's a proper 12 label signed by McGregor. That'll be elite. But that's great. Great news for the hobby there. Next up, new slab. There's a new slab.
Well, obviously, we've spoken about CGS, certified graded.
No, we spoke about that.
Yes,
last week,
CGS, and actually, word out. I heard them on their socials. They will be accepting submissions in early February. So look out across their socials. Get your cards ready. I wouldn't be sending any big cards, but maybe you got your Donruss bases or your hoops or some of that stuff, and giving them a test. Sending in some of the low end stuff. I think they're really going to make a splash in the grading scene. I just hope. People have had this argument with me that it's not that PSA is the best. It's that PSA is the best, the most well marketed. And I have to agree with that. PSA's in your face. They got Kendrick Perkins saying if it ain't PSA, don't bring them my way. They got all these, people hyping them up on socials and shit. But You know,
That's true, but best marketed doesn't mean best product.
yeah, but the sad thing is, Doma, people, because it's been marketed the best, people pay the most for it. It's just like a quality of a Louis Vuitton bag could be the same quality as a bag you buy at just a no name bag shop, and it could be made in the same place, could be both made in Italy,
Yeah, I understand
but
what
one's got the LV tag and one doesn't, and that's what gives it the price. So
I
essentially,
understand.
it's like PSA is now like the Louis Vuitton of freaking grading companies, where they're like the
What's
upper
alright?
market of grading companies, and you're going to get all these undermarkets. But what happens then? These undermarkets, people realize, oh, there is actual value in them, so they pick those things up, and you might be picking up these graded cards when no one's thinking about them, and then when one of these companies gets their marketing act together,
Correct. Get them dirt cheap.
and you're getting them cheap, this is where it's opportunity, Thomas. So I don't rule out these
Yeah,
other
I don't
grading
rule that
companies.
out.
There's a few out there
I'll
that
buy
I wouldn't
CGS.
touch. Obviously,
I'll buy
Gem,
CGS card.
GMA, I wouldn't touch
Yeah,
them. I would buy their cards if the card is in the slab, and
cheap.
as I've spoken about, and it's a hard grading card. It's a hard to grade card, and it's in that slab, and they've graded a 10. Maybe you buy it and try cross it over to a PSA or a BGS or a CGC or SGC, whatever one. But yeah, there's a few stay on. Back onto the topic,
But
Domma.
but now we have a new player, which is got Saucy's favorite acronym when it comes to bloody grading cards: artificial intelligence. That's his favorite AI. Not Allen Iverson. Artificial intelligence. That's his favorite acronym when it comes to grading sports cards or any type of card. Now, give us a rundown. Give us the name, first of all, of this new grading company and a bit of insight into them because their slabs look freaking amazing. And the second thing on top of that, they do something else that Saucy loves besides AI: subgrades. That's two things he loves. He loves artificial intelligence and he loves subgrades. So this is what they're doing. Uh, he's vigorously searching here.
Here we go. I'll switch it over. There it is.
Here we go.
HGA. I've brought it up on screen. Anyone who's watching on YouTube, I've got the website up. We've got HGA, stands for Hybrid Grading Approach. We're on their website, hybridgrading.com. Consistent, accurate grading. Here we go. Revolutionizing the industry by implementing software that will allow us to scan, analyze, and grade cards without subjectivity.
No more 60-40, baby.
Meaning that what a card really should get graded, it should get graded. If a card is, 50-50 on the centering, it will get its true 50-50 centering grade. If it's not 50-50, well, it won't get the 10 or the 9.5 on the subgrades. It will get a 9, it will get an 8.5, an 8. So it's interesting to go through about HGA. Why hybrid grading approach? Now, I'm just running through their website. I have extended the invitation out to the guys at or the team at Hybrid Grading to come on the podcast and give us a bit of a rundown of who you are, a little bit of an insight into how your grading process works, the artificial intelligence around it, because not for anything, if we'll have a look at their pricing next. To be asking this price, which is fine. I think people need to know a bit more information before they go off and send a whole bunch of cards at the price that you're asking. So we'll go into that next. Why hybrid grading approach? The better question would be, why not? We can't think of a reason you wouldn't make the switch to HGA. Highlights are as follows. Customer service is the best, bar none. Well, let's see when people actually start using them and they get an influx of cards. Let's see how good their customer service is then. So that's still yet to be stated. Consistent, unbiased, and non-subjective grading. That entices me. HGA is revolutionizing the industry by implementing software that will allow us to scan, analyze, and grade cards without subjectivity. Each card is scanned at ultra high resolution. The scanner sees better than a magnifying glass and can pick up blemishes the size of a speck of dust. Big talk. Big talk.
It's massive.
Easy to submit. simple pricing, pay by the day, not by the value of the card, which something I agree with. Not like what PSA is doing, which is pretty much giving preference to their people that pay more. Changing the game. Here at HEA, we are sports lovers. Collecting cards is our passion. We went from collectors to local card store owners and now into grading company. We saw a huge need in the market for consistent grading. We decided to hire multiple companies to design and implement software that allow us to scan, analyze, and grade cards without subjectivity. We believe that cards should receive grades based on who is not based on who is on the card. Luka Doncic in his early days, when every card got graded a 10.
Look at the Don.
The value of the card, or whether or not a grader is having a good or bad day. So whether or not Joe in grading from PSA is deciding whether this card at 70-30 is good enough to get a 10. The cards should be graded solely on the presentation of the card itself, so we are developing unique software that detects edges for crispness, corners for sharpness, centering for balance, and surfaces free of blemishes. We feel that we will grade your card accurately 100% of the time. Big talk!
199. That's
Big talk, Domma. Let's say that again. We feel that we will grade your card accurately 100% of the time.
Sauce. That's a true 10.
Well, it's big talk.
No, I'm just saying, technically, I'm not discounting anyone here. Based on what they've said, I'm taking a realistic approach to what they're saying. Based on AI, because this is the first time we're going to get pure AI to do everything for us in the hobby. Technically, if this is found to be accurate to 100%, as they're saying, not 99.8, not 99.9, 100% guarantee, 100% it's a 10 or it's a 9 or it's a 9.5 every time. When it gets the 10, that's a true 10. True 10. It's better than, that means it's better than every 10 out there. Because I'll tell you one thing, ladies and gents, unfortunately, the thing that's going for them in their case is there is no human that's out there that can see the blemish that's the size of a speck of dust on the card. I can guarantee you that. And there's no way that their eyesight can 100% guarantee you a 50-50 centering every single time they grade a card. That's why there's a leeway, a 60-40 leeway. You got to understand this, ladies and gents. That's why 60-40 means it's not a true accurate 10. I hope you've been paying attention to us for the last 3 months when we've been saying this shit to you, because it's if this works for HSHare, props to them. But what we're trying to say to you is this is getting rid of 60-40, where everyone said this is a true 10 in the market, not a BGS black label. Well, technically, it's a 60-40. It ain't a true 10. It's a flawed card, and it's been given a 10. So if this works out to be, as they've stated here on their website, 100%, there's no discrepancy. It is 100% guaranteed. Then it's the truest 10 you can get in the market. This is what we're trying to tell you. You might laugh at us and be like, yeah, but it's HGA. It's not a PSA. I don't give a shit. I'm going based on what we've been provided.
The service and how they grade the cards.
The service states it's 100%. So that tells me that it's the truest 10 you can get. Whether it's an SGC, a CGS, a BGS, or a PSA, HGA have the truest of the true. Fuck your black labels and all that stuff. This is the best. Anyway, Sauce, carry on with your price.
So the pricing, we have our the pricing, which is their best value, which is 30 days at $35 a card. These are all in US prices. Most popular, which is 10 days at $55 per card. And coming soon is obviously, I'm guessing, their speed service or their probably express service, which is 2 day, which is going to be $100 a card. It's all great. You've got the you know, those different levels. But I think at $35 a card, from what you've shown and what you've put out into existence across socials, and showing people, I think you're going to get a lot of people hesitating at $35 a card, especially when the market's not there to sell your cards yet. You have to find a way to bring that down to about $20 a card at best value to make sure that people are sending you cards. And then, once you're getting an influx, then obviously I'd think of increasing that price. If you can't increase that price based off, computing power, needing to run, powerful computers to run the software, that obviously takes expenses such as electricity and these sorts of things, and you need to take this into account. You need to explain that to people, and that's why I want them to come on and explain their process and how it goes down and how they, go through.
Don't panic.
So,
We'll tag them in this, and then we'll send them the link to the podcast in the DMs, and hopefully they listen to it and they come on.
yeah. So look,
We've
I
got
just think Domma. I think it's definitely one to watch. And I'm hoping and I'm rooting for them. I'm rooting for them. I want to know. Look, I want to know a bit more about them. I want to know, the people involved in the company. There's who
The shake-up we've been waiting for.
it is the shake-up we've been waiting for. And I just keep telling people, stop riding PSA's dick. Literally. Like, you are fueling what's the word? Mediocrity. You're fueling mediocrity. Because not only are their grading standards actually mediocre, but their service is mediocre, and their ability to actually improve their turnaround times, now how long it's been, and it's still mediocre. Like, I understand that they're still dealing with a pandemic over there, but if a company could come out of the blue and start AI grading, which is, going to improve, obviously, times and stuff, because, you don't got a guy looking at it. It just goes under there, probably can get analyzed and graded within 1 minute. Hello? Why can't PSA, who just got bought out for $900 million, do it?
No idea.
And we spoke to, and anyone out there, like, we spoke to Shane on our latest podcast prior to this one at Sports Cards 23, Sports Cards with a Z, 23 on IG, and he spoke about 2-3 years ago. Just go back 3 years ago, PSA was sort of under BGS. Beckett was on top of them. And rightfully so. I still think Beckett should be on top of them, because Beckett actually gives subgrades and gives you some inkling as to why you got the grade. But, here we are, because of PSA's marketing and, everybody willing to just jump on the PSA bandwagon because it nets you more money. At the end of the day, it comes down to money. We're accepting mediocrity in terms of grading standards. We're accepting mediocrity. Think about it. We are. As a hobby and as hobbyists, we are accepting mediocrity by sending our cards to PSA.
We hold everyone else to a high standard, whether it be a breaker or a guy selling you a case or a box or a card on eBay. Like, we hold everyone else to the highest standards ever. We even hold SGC and BGS to these high standards. BGS clearly with fake slabs and all this stuff, but we're holding even the other grading companies to a high standard. Yet you're willing to settle with Sauceys saying for mediocrity with 60-40, 70-30, whatever, blah blah blah, shit turnaround times, this and that. The slabs. How did I get my 10? I don't know. I just gave you a 10. There's no indication of how I got it. Guess what? We haven't got a 9.5. So if the card's a 9, in between a 9 or a 10, they can say, let's give it a 9 or we'll give it a 10. It's a flip of a coin. It's a 50-50 chance. That's what we're trying to tell you. We've been trying to tell you for ages. It's a 50-50 chance. The processes are mediocre. And the hobby itself, and this is me kind of having a go at everyone in the hobby, he's the first person to hold everyone else in the highest regard. We don't want new people in the hobby because it's going to ruin our hobby. Well, no. People in the hobby that are traditionalists and have been around for you are also, some of you, I'm not saying everyone, But there's people in the hobby, the way they talk about grading companies, you're just as much to blame as everyone else. You're condoning this bullshit. Going to people in the hobby and saying, "Oh, BGS cards, they're worthless. They're crap. If you're not getting PSA, like, what's the point? That's how you get your most money." Well, I never thought in my life in a hobby so volatile, well, sports cards especially, what we've seen people jumping down people's throats about in like groups and stuff that we've been a part of. Geez, like we've been in some Pokemon groups and some people have jumped down our throat and we laughed at them. And some of the shit they've posted, we laughed at them. And just been like, man, if you put that crap in sports card forums, you would be annihilated. And yet we're here going, no, that's okay. We've got over 120, 150 day wait. Who cares? They're in backlog 2 million cards. Let's send them more cards. Let's keep sending them cards. I might not get my card back for a year, but, I'll keep sending. Oh, look. Oh,
they
the
keep
guy sent the card
increasing their
for.
prices too, Domma.
Yeah. Oh, look, I'm going to get a 10 on this so-and-so. I'll get a 10. His card's going up. I'm going to make 40k, Saucy. My card, I'm just waiting for it to come back. I'm going to make 40k. Oh, shit, he's done his knee. Oh, no, it's all over. He's injured. He's not playing for the rest of the season. I've lost 3/4 of my investment when the card comes back. And then you don't know if he's going to be any good. And you're going, oh, far out. Wish I got it back quicker. And then you get it back and you go, oh, that was a 10. I thought it was a 10. And it comes back as a PSA 8.5 or a 9. You didn't even get the chance to get a 9.5 because they don't even offer that. So you then sit there, wonder to yourself as a person, a collector in the hobby, oh, was it a 9.5 and he gave me the 9 today? Or was it a 9.5 and he could have given me a 10? It's all mediocrity. I completely agree with you. You've been talking about it for ages, but it's just got to the point where it's like, we summed it up perfectly a while back, where it's like, you got a choice of cars. You got a Toyota or a Ford, blah, blah, blah. All the people have personal preference. That's what it comes down to, personal preference. You know what I mean? Not everyone came around and went, oh, stuff everyone else. We're just going to go with Toyota. And let's just destroy the brand of every other grading company that's out there. BGS, and I can understand why they're getting slandered at the moment, because they got issues that they're not freaking coming out and making public service announcements to resolve, which, let's be honest, you and I are still freaking pissed off with that shit. But besides the point, there's still SGC out there. Now CGS is coming. Oh, what's CGS done? What a shit company. Well, fucking, you traditionalists, get on. You got one of these, and you got a computer. How about you Google CGC and you look up what the company is, the best renowned grading company for comic books in the world, and you're slandering them. If anything, they got more of a chance of actually grading sports cards decent compared to other companies.
Massive
give
in,
these
in
guys a
the in the
chance.
trading card space as well. Pokemon, Magic the
With
Gathering,
Pokemon and Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh. But they get no love. The moment a new startup starts up, slapped.
No, this is the problem, Doma. When these companies come about, people literally, this is their reason. Why would I send my cards there because when I sell them, I don't get as much money.
Man, I got.
But you know why? You know why we don't get as much money
forever.
for those other cards that are graded by those other companies? It's because we, as people and as hobbyists, well, not me, because I don't consider myself like this. I don't have any preference for any grading company. And I've sent cards to BGS, I've sent cards to PSA, I've sent cards to SGC. So I've got no...
We've sent cards to CGC.
I've sent cards to CGC as well, too, right? So I spread what I do around. For me, at the end of the day, it's a customer service-based business. And PSA are giving you some of the worst customer service that I have seen ever. Not only on the whole waiting time, but just also on their service in general. About if you actually have a look at what grading a card should stand for, their standards are mediocre. And anyone who defutes that point, you are delusional. You have no idea in terms of what a perfect card should be. Because to me, I know what a perfect card should be. You should have no blemishes, no scratches, edges should be perfect, corners should be sharp, and number one thing, it should be centered 50-50 front and back. If it's that, if everything's good and the centering's a tiny bit out, well, that's why you have a 9.5 grade. And you get a 9.5. Because it's nearly perfect. Right? But the fact that PSA don't have a 9.5 and have an 8.5 has to be one of the most ludicrous things in this hobby that I've seen. It is the most ludicrous thing. Anyone who defutes that point, exactly. I invite you on.
Debate with us.
I invite you on. Please DM us if you listen to this, and have a conversation with us over this.
Tell us what PSA is the best. We'd love to tell you why they're not. And then perfect examples, because we're going to lead into something else here. Yeah, I'll give you. We're talking about here the hobby holding everyone into high regard. When sometimes there's people in this hobby that need to have a good hard look at themselves in the mirror. Yeah. eBay, they're full of problems. Yeah. Still use it. Full of issues. Still use it. It's the same thing as any other marketplaces out there. Oh no, eBay. They're shit. Fuck, they do this. They don't help the buyer. They don't help the seller. I'm not trying to promote eBay, but I'm just giving you an example. You did the same thing with them. Their service, at times, can be mediocre. Their policies are mediocre. Now, the next one is me pointing out the way we act towards people and then the way people change once they know they've actually got a good thing. And this is what I don't like. This is what I'm saying. Give HGA, and CGS a chance. Card Ladder, our mate Chris. Sauce and I remember when his platform came out, and I'm not trying to kiss ass Chris. We actually said, this is fucking sick. We can actually see the prices on the card. Now, if you go look at some of the people in the hobby and some of the forums and some of the groups that we're a part of, what's this fucking shit product? This is the worst thing I've ever seen.
Why am I going to pay $15 a month for this?
Yeah, $15. It's just a money-making machine. They're trying to rot us. And what are you doing now? They're the best. Because you know why? They actually give you a good service. And you realise, oh, it's a good service. But the problem is I don't understand what the difference is between Card Ladder, who give a good service, actually a great service, to PSA, who gives this mediocre service, but you put them on the highest pedestal ever. They went from mediocre to staying mediocre. And then up here. Card Ladder went from they cop shit at the beginning to people realizing and saying, no, they're the best. And rightfully so. Now, this leads to our next topic. And Sauce he's going to lose his shitty up because I understand why. But repacks. It's another thing.
It baffles me. It baffles me, Domma. It literally baffles me, especially when you got brilliant repacks out there that even tell you some of the cards. They'll tell you the top 5 or top 10 cards you can pull out of their repack. Whether it be a release of 50, 100, or a print run of 1,000. And then you get people, when they pull something bad out of that pack, slandering the repack creator. There's no difference when you open a pack of cards. I opened 4 boxes of Domma Optic 1920 retail Domma. I did not pull one base Ja Morant or one base Zion. Did I get on my IG? Did I get on my YouTube? Did I get on my Twitter and start tweeting out and bagging the shit out of Panini? You piece of shit. You didn't give me any one jar, one Zion. I opened 4 boxes. I spent $750. I didn't get shit. It's part of the hobby. Same with repacks. Thing is, with repacks,
gambling.
It's gambling. At least there's repackers out there that do good repacks that tell you the chase cards in there. And when some of them have got chase cards, like a Zion Silver, You know, that's a card that's like $2,500, right? And you're only paying $120 for the repack at the chance of getting it over a $2,000 card, and even some other cards, $500 card. You know, Kobe rookies. Like, stop complaining.
Yeah,
Like, if you get
I
if
just
you get a
yeah.
bad pull in your repack, so be it. It's part of the hobby. Like, you know, there are going to be people out there that don't provide you with the best repacks, and I think that's why you need to do your research. You know, like, you need to do your research into that as well. You know, just like when you're doing your research into what product you're going to open. You know, which product's going to be the best to potentially, you know, get value out of. You know, like me, I really wanted to open Chronicles this part last year because I thought there was so much value in Chronicles. I still think there's so much value in Chronicles, especially with the way the hobby's going. The fact that you get so many different rookie variants and it appeals to potentially so many different collectors. You know, with things like Prism Optic getting so much harder to even get your hands on because, you know, they're like the top two. You know, you got to look for some of those under things. It's
Yeah.
no different with repacks. Like, you know, I've been in groups on Facebook and I'm just seeing people, you know, slander repackers, you know, and then you go out and you see, you know, cards that come out of that same repack that's like a $1,300 card. Well, can you understand why in some of the packs you're getting a $5 card or a $10 card? You know, I mean, I did see one literally, there was a 99-cent card in a repack that was a $100 repack. But, you know, how do you then
That's the luck of the
how do you then
draw.
put the $1,500 card in there?
But this is the thing. Like, I understand it's a gamble. That's what a repack is. You're gonna have low tier, mid tier, and high tier cards. That's the way it's gonna work. If you wanted all high tier cards, but even like we got cherry pies, $100 repack. You got money ball, which are a bit more expensive. But are you going to complain if you get a money ball and you get $100 card in it? You know, they put high end cards like Saucy's saying. Like, they're businesses. They're going to make money. Like, I've seen some stuff written out, like that have been like statements out there by Cherry saying like sometimes they run at a loss when it comes to this stuff. So it's just like you should just be grateful for the fact that like everyone expects $100 to pull a fucking $5,000 card or a $1,300 card. That's what they expect, which is absolutely ridiculous. Like I just don't get the mentality of people out in the hobby. Oh, I didn't pull a card that's worth $101. I didn't make my money's worth. Well, fuck. That's what a repack is.
Go
You're
buy
not
a Prism
guaranteed to
Blaster
make your
that's
money
now
back.
$750. I
Exactly.
guarantee you won't make your money's back on that.
Like, you got to use your brains. Like, I've seen people bust freaking rip uh, opulence. I've seen people rip. We're talking about thousands of dollars a box. Like, thousands upon thousands of dollars for a box and pulling jack shit. You can resell it for fucking $1,200. Everything you've pulled out of an opulence box, and what was it going for? $10,000 a box, $5,000 a box, and the resale is $1,200. What's any different between that and a repack?
It's true, Domma.
As Saul said, you do your research, yeah, and you look for these good companies, and we've had them on our show before. These companies, like reputable, I know they're friends of ours, and that's fine. But at least we know they're legit. I'm not going and getting an eBay repack of some guy, like I don't know who he is, from a bar or so, and getting jack shit. Then you can complain. Then you can say, oh, I got rorted. He promised me this and this and this and this. No cards under $50, and I got a card worth $1. Yeah, well, that's fair enough. Then you can complain. But this is what I'm trying to say with the hobby at the moment. You hold everyone in the highest regard until you see it fit. Everyone's up here till you decide, or everyone's down here till you decide. PSA's up here till you decide, oh, they are mediocre and we'll listen to everyone else. Card ladder's down here until we decide, no, they are the best. Because we realise they've got a good product. You don't dictate anything. What you're dictating, well, you are dictating something. You're ruining the market by doing stupid shit. You're actually dictating the future of companies based on your belief that one is better, the best, the be all and end all. And people are out there some people losing money on their BGS cards because people don't want them. Or SGC cards. Just when we thought SGC was making up some ground. Now everyone's like, oh, I wouldn't touch those cards with a 10-foot pole. Same with repacks. I don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. But yeah, I'll buy it because I can get a $1,300 card. But I got a dollar card, and you know what? That's shit. I'm never buying that product again. What a waste. It's a gamble. Grading is a gamble because it's down to human analysis. Buying a box is a gamble. Buying a pack is a gamble. Buying a repack is a gamble. When you wake up and smell the roses and you realize that,
The HGA,
maybe
the HGA is the company to go, because we will accurately grade your card 100% of the time with AI intelligence.
100%. Well, that's what I'm trying to say to you. To everyone, listeners, viewers, sources trying to say that too. If it is 100% as they say, well, then it's the truth.
Look, I'm not 100% sold on that point yet, Domma, but you know, they speak, they talk the talk. They got to walk the walk, and this is why I want to see, you know, whether we get them on our show or someone else gets them on their show, and they, you know, ask the hard questions. I want to know, you know, their processes and things, so that we can find out a bit more, because, you know, I'm intrigued by this, and not for anything, I'm going to say it right now, their slabs look fucking sick.
They do look
because
good.
they color match it with the card. So they will make, you know, if you've got like, you're sitting in a blue prism, they'll put like a blue tinge to the label, so it like matches the blue prism you sent in.
That's mint. That's sick.
So it's like, feels like it's even a little bit more customized. And also Domma, yeah, one other thing, they give them subgrades.
I know. I said that. That's what you love. You love that shit. Anyway, we stayed on it long enough. We've probably got another rant coming up in the Smoky. But just before we finish up, we are going to go to a quick question asked by the_blind_side_collective. He wants to know, both of us, go back in time and change one decision on the card, trade/sale. What would it be?
For me, it wouldn't even be. In terms of card,
Rapid fire.
I'll give you two. So in terms of card, it's probably not buying enough Kobe Bryant tops rookie when they were down. You know, you could buy PSA 9s for 500. You could buy, you know, BGS 8.5s, PSA 8.5s for 250 to 350. You know, that stuff's all gone crazy now. So that'll probably be the card. And then another one would be literally getting my hands on a lot of 1920 product at retail, selling quite a bit of it, probably a bit early, and ripping a shitload of it and getting jack shit, where I probably should just kept the majority of it sealed, maybe ripped one box, and kept most of it sealed. Yeah, that would probably be where I would take my time back. Like, I got a lot of Dunross optic product, and I wish I kept more of it sealed and held onto it till now. You know, that could have literally been, you know, a $700 investment now worth, you know, $6K. So yeah.
For me, I've got two as well. One was Tiger Woods rookie card. When Source pointed it out to me, they were dirt cheap. They were worthless, pretty much.
Peanuts.
In the market. I haven't really got like trade and like sale type things. Mine's more of a purchase. But yeah, that, and then the second one was Saucy and I were actually onto the vintage NFL thing before it even blew up.
When we see
we just didn't pull the pin.
Record sale on Joe Montana. I think when I told you to buy a Joe Montana PSA 10, I think was at 7K. I think when I told you, I think what it sell for 20K.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you could
we can name them all. Deion Sanders.
Yeah. Barry Sanders.
You were lucky enough to get one of those, which is good. What's his name? Lawrence
Lawrence
Taylor.
Taylor, yes.
Fuck, did we miss out on that, man? Like, that's a killer. Yeah, Joe Montana,
Jerry
um,
Rice.
Jerry Rice, Dan Marino. Um, they've hurt us.
Look, when everyone was
So
buying all of the Kyler Murray hype, at the start of the season, Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson, Josh Allen's price is going up, everything. I was like, this is ridiculous. Let's go have a look. And I'm not really fond of all the vintage guys. I literally just looked up like top 20 top
100. I think it was like top
top
100,
100
and we just
NFL players of all time, and I just started going through, and I was like, started looking them up on Wikipedia, what they've accomplished, all these sorts of things, looking up, their records that they hold at their ball clubs, and all these sorts of things, and I was just like, well, how are these guys who have completed their career just, selling for a fraction of the price of some of these up-and-coming guys that are in their first, 4 seasons? And I used the same theory that I did in basketball. And I still think there's opportunity in basketball. I still think there's opportunity in NFL in the vintage play. But the way the market's going at the moment, you need to find those guys that are playing because they're the ones that probably net you the most return in a short amount of time, especially if they play a few good games. So
yeah. That's it.
yeah,
My two and your two, mate. So that question was once again from the_blind_side_collective. Thank you. And to finish up, as we mentioned before, Anthony Collects did an IG live with Sauce. You can find that on our IG and on all podcasting platforms. Good discussion there about soccer cards and RCs, true RCs and false RCs getting printed on cards. And then the other one is a catch-up and a special guest from Shane, aka Sports Cards with a Z, 23 on Instagram, and you can find that pod also on all podcasting platforms. And that was a great discussion there about his time in the hobby. It's been like 20 plus years he's been there. So go on there and have a listen. He's got one of the most extensive Kobe, LBJ, and MJ collections, which is sick. So yeah, coming up next though, to end the show, the most anticipated segment, Sauceys Smokey. So stay tuned. All right, we're back. Most anticipated segment, Saucy Smokey. Saucy, let's have this discussion around this card. You've given this as a Smokey. I can't believe you gave this as a Smokey. And once again, it's going up in value, but we've got a comp to do for this card. So, awesome card, rattle it off again, and then we'll get into some discussion quickly.
Yeah.
About its comp card.
Yeah, that's right. So I spoke about this card
about 4 weeks ago.
podcast 25. So that's 5 weeks ago, Domma. Yeah. 5 weeks ago. Yeah. And in that 5 weeks, Domma, the card has gone from the last PSA 10 sold when I looked at it then 5 weeks ago was around about 3K, and now the last PSA 10 sold is just under 10K. So the card in just 3 weeks has gone up 3 times the value. 10 and 5 weeks, sorry, has gone up 3 times the value. And I think this card, based off what we've seen during the week with a very similar card, this card could see itself at a PSA 10 level, getting up over. I'm going to say 300,000 potential.
Easy.
Especially with the fact that I think there's only 10 PSA 10s. So there is absolute great rarity. And if you've got the coin out there and you find a PSA 10 or a BGS 9.5, go buy this card. This could be the opportunity of a lifetime. Literally. So the card that I'm talking about, I'm going to bring it up. I've got it up on 130 point. Is the Topps Matrix 2003, 2004. Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Chris Bosh. It's a 3-panel card. Very similar to another card that's 3-panel that sold for record sale during the week. I believe the collectible app took a buyout of 720,000 USD. So all-time high on that card. And this is the card that I believe is very similar to that card. So we'll have a look here. I'll bring up an image. Here we go. That's the card. Better look at it. You've got Dwayne Wade on the left, LeBron in the middle, Chris Bosh on the right. It's a 3-panel card. It's got the perforated in between on either side of LeBron, so you can rip that apart if you wish. But recent raw sale of 50, and then there was another one here of 200. So that probably could have been banged up, that 51. But even the raw sales, look, you've got raw sales here, Domma, of 250 USD. That is amazing. When I told people to buy this card 5 weeks ago, a PSA 8 was going for 250. Right? So, I just think, and here's the last sale on the PSA 10. What went 9,726, and then before that, which was another one on the same day, sold for 3,250, right? But then the one after it sold for 9,076. It was with PWCC, so maybe that could be a little bit inflated. But even then, the fact that it's gone up like that, and then the one before that, I think was just under 3K PSA 10. If I find it here in the thing. But why I'm talking about this card is because I just think there's so much potential for this card to grow. If we heard the record sale of the Julius Erving, Magic Johnson,
Magic.
and Larry Bird card in a PSA 10. That it went for 720,000. Now, if you look at in retrospect, what do those 3 guys have in common? They're all in Hall of Fame. 2 guys on that have won multiple chips. Now, just go have a look. Like here's a BGS 7.5 last sold. On the 9th of November, sold for 1,700. Now, just in the scheme of things, if a BGS 7.5 is going for 1,700, why couldn't, if you get a PSA 8 for 300 or 350, I think they're going at the moment, why couldn't that PSA 8 at some point be a $2,000 card? And if that PSA 8 is $2,000, well then the PSA 9 must be up around maybe 20 to 50, and the PSA 10 must be around about 300. And I'm just using this as a comp card because this is, very similar. It's perforated.
That's the vintage. It's the vintage version of the modern card.
Exactly right. So here's a PSA 8 sold on the 25th of January of this card, 11,000 USD. I'm just saying that this is the modern, as Domma said, this is the modern version of this card. You got 3 guys inducted all into the Hall of Fame. All guys on there have won multiple chips. Best part is they all won chips on the same team together. And they all came from the same draft class. I don't know what more I need to tell people. But I just genuinely think it is a matter of time with a pop report of a PSA 10 pop report of 10 and a total graded of under 100. I think last time I checked it was 94. It is literally a matter of time before some influencer posts this card, compares it to exactly what I'm comparing it to, and goes, this should be worth way more than it is, and shit gets on fire, and the hobby goes fucking bananas. And this card skyrockets. I can't see how it doesn't happen, Domma. I genuinely can't see. So, there's something similar. It's called a Fleer Tradition. And it's 3-panel card. But the thing is, with the Fleer Tradition, it only comes with Wade, Mello, and Bron. Because they were the top 3 picks, I think, in that draft. And it only comes with them 3. There's no other variants. Whereas the top Matrix has got all different variants. But the variant that I like the most, and the variant that is currently selling the most on the market, is the one with Bosch in it, not Mello. right? And it's because they've, from the same team, won 2 chips together. All guys in going into the Hall of Fame, without a doubt. I can't see how it goes wrong.
I agree with you.
So I'm just bringing it back because even I bought a PSA 8 at, you know, I bought a PSA 8 at 265. And I think PSA 8's today. I mean, I'm telling you right now, if this card was on Card Ladder and it got an all-time high of 9,005. It's not on Card Ladder, mind you, Domma. So if this was on Card Ladder and it got that all-time high price of 9,700 and something, and it was on people's radar because it would have come up in the Card Ladder headlines, I guarantee you this shit would explode.
100%.
I guarantee you.
100%. Couldn't agree more.
So I just can't see how it doesn't.
It's a wait and see. We'll go out there and we're gonna do a duet. We'll put it on our TikTok. We'll put it on our Insta. We'll put it everywhere. Saucy said it here 5 weeks ago. He's been talking
last sold
about
PSA 8,
it.
Domma, 371. So, you know, I've made myself a measly $100 just like that.
This is the card. We're gonna tag everyone that we need to tag in that TikTok, in that Instagram. They need to know this is the card. So, Saucy, we'll get that organised and we'll put it out there for the viewers and the listeners.
As I said, I'm gonna go down on record. I'm going down on record right now. This card, if that card is 720,000 in a PSA 10, this card gets to 500,000.
Thanks for coming. And guess what? I'll tell you the funny fact about all of it. Not one of them has been inducted into the Hall of Fame yet. And one's still currently playing to raise the value of that card. And the funny thing about that is that guy potentially could win more chips, could have the most points in the history of the sport, could just keep eclipsing and breaking more records, playoff records. He could win another MVP, could win another finals MVP. This all just adds value to that card. And it keeps going up and up and up. LeBron just makes that card worth heaps. It's LeBron. And the funny thing about it is people start a lot of them probably know about it, but not really know about it, like throughout the whole hobby. Main guys will know about it. People that are trying to snap them up, out there looking for them, get them cheap as a long-term investment. So they're willing to spend $9K. LeBron's the value. Bosch is the value. Wade's the value. All championship players, all played on the same team, all going to be Hall of Famers. That's Sauceys Smokey recapped from 5 weeks ago. He told you it's gone up 3x in 5 weeks. That is crazy. Absolutely crazy. So don't sleep on it. So get it now, while stocks last, as they say.
Yep.
Because they're going to get bought and put into a vault.
I had to say, I've got to go on record saying it, that this, in a PSA 10, this could be a $500,000 card.
Well, good. We'll be right about two things. That's going to be worth $500,000, and then Charizard will be worth $1 million this year, and we'll both be right about something. So it's true. Anyway, that's been another pod down. 30 official weekly podcasts done. It's been awesome sauce. We've done 30 there, plus some specials, probably around over 40 pods. Been awesome. Thanks to everyone that listens and supports us. We really do appreciate it. But once again, it's been Dom and your boy Sauce. Keep living, loving, and breathing sport. Double coverage. Peace.
Peace out, ladies and gents. Thank you for tuning in. Please don't forget to leave a review on the Apple Podcasting app. Also, follow us on socials. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Talking all sports. Double curve.